So my passion was music, and what's interesting about it is that it was always my passion. It was always fulfilling itself. It was always feeding itself and growing and pursuing itself. But it actually took me years to catch up to it and to have that light bulb moment. And I haven't looked back since. Now, what can passion kind of look like in your life if you're lucky enough to kind of pinpoint it? I want to be very clear. It doesn't necessarily have to be a career path. It doesn't have to be kind of a cool-sounding job. One of my closest friends, who I've known since I was 6 years old, as long as I've known him, his passion has been to one day be a husband and a father. And he has a good job at First Tennessee Bank. He couldn't care less about it because his passion is what happens when he gets home. And that's a beautiful thing. But if your passion does happen to be something that you might pursue as a career one day, there's a couple little anecdotes I'd like to share with you, pieces of advice that have kind of been formative for me over the years. First one is this. I'm the youngest of two sons. My older brother is Justin. He's 4 years older than I am. And when I was in high school, he was finishing up college. And what you need to know about Justin is that, unlike me, he's an extremely talented person. And he continues to be the most talented writer I've ever known. And I'm around a lot of writers. And so when he was finishing up school, my dad said, Justin, what do you think you might go into? Justin said, well, I'm applying for this, I'm applying for that, but I'm also interested in writing. And Dad, knowing that he's very talented, said, well, I think that's great, Justin. What was the last thing that you wrote? And he said, it's a short story. Okay, when did you write that? About a year ago in class. Justin, writers write. And it's such a simple statement, but it's so true. What he meant is your passion isn't necessarily just the thing that you're most gifted in. Justin is an extremely talented writer, but he didn't have a passion for writing. It wasn't something he felt compelled to do on a daily basis. And so one way to kind of look at what your passion is what is the thing you can't not do, even if you try. I'll give you another example. My mom's passion is teaching. She's a lifelong educator, and while I've never been lucky enough to be a student of hers in the classroom, I can tell you that I've witnessed many lessons at home. Some last 10 minutes on how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, for example. The point is, teachers teach, singers sing, writers write. And so I would ask you, what is the thing that you find yourself that you wouldn't be able to stop doing even if you tried? The other little anecdote or whatever I'd like to share is that since I started my career in 2005, it was January 2005, it's now February 2014, so about 9 years later. And in that time, I've been pretty lucky. I've been able to release 5 records. I've played 1,000+ concerts, written a few hundred songs, 4 of them good. Got to share the stage with some of my heroes, a couple TV appearances, and all that stuff's going good. Those are the fruits of the labor. But I don't want to stress the fruits this morning to you. I want to stress the labor. For some reason, we think of successful people in any given field, doctors, lawyers, teachers, scientists, businessmen, as people who spend a lot of time and hard work perfecting their craft and gaining a level of expertise in their field. For some reason, we don't think of artists like that. And what I'm here to tell you is that it's just a huge lie. We're not magical unicorns that walk around and get struck by lightning bolts of inspiration all day, every day. I don't know a single artist who has achieved long-term success in their life that doesn't wake up every day and actively pursue their craft and put a lot of hard work into it. So not only in the creative process does a lot of hard work go into it, for every 4-minute song that ends up on iTunes that someone might purchase and enjoy, and maybe drop a line one day and say, hey, this really helped me deal with the thing I was going through. For every little second of that, there's weeks that it's just me alone in a room working on that song, and rehearsing that song, and writing that song, and arranging that song, and really, really getting in there with the nuts and the bolts and putting in the work. Any opportunity that I've been able to have in my career, say a music industry executive says, hey Chris, I'd love to see you next time you're in town. June 11th, I already went ahead and booked that show. I did the work on the front end so that when the opportunity presents itself, I might be able to take advantage of it. Same thing, I hear you're singing a songwriter, I'd like to hear your stuff sometime. Here's a CD. I already did the work on the front end. And so I really stress that, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle when it comes to success in any field. You gotta have talent, that matters. You gotta have some luck, that matters. In my case, you gotta have very supportive parents, a very supportive brother, that matters a great deal. But the biggest piece of the puzzle is doing the work, and it's that simple. So what I would leave you with this morning, I know I'm running short on time, but I would leave you with just a simple question. What do you think your passion is? When you woke up this morning, what was the first thing that you thought? When you go to bed at night, what's the last thought in your mind? Or what's the thing that you can't not do? And if you don't have an answer for that yet, that's totally okay. I promise you got time. But if you take nothing else away from me today, this is a little off script, but I just want to say it because I've been in your seat. If you hear nothing else I say today, please hear this. If you're in middle school or in high school and you feel like you kind of haven't found your thing yet, if you feel kind of lonely or invisible at the end of the day, I promise you, you're not alone. And it gets better. So thank you all so much for listening to me this morning. I really appreciate it. And I wish that I had a little bit more time to make this monologue a dialogue. So there's links, I think, over my head. Please feel free to find me if you got any questions or comments or anything. I'd really love to hear from you. Thank you.